Welcome to my daily review. Today is Thursday, September 11, and it's a day that 24 years ago that changed our lives, and a day it's either we never forget or we always remember. I don't know which one sounds better. Never is kind of negative and always is kind of positive. So I'd say let's always remember 9/11. Anyway, uh, I have a lot to discuss today, a lot going on, but I promise I'm not going to go over any gold stocks today. So you get a 1 day reprieve from gold as gold, kind of didn't give some back. It just kind of stalled a little bit. Anyway, that's my good news for you. You don't have to listen to all my BS on gold stocks today. All right. I've got to get to a couple things here. First of all, you're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which was up. This thing's melting up. Yesterday, it traded above. It eclipsed 22,000 and then pulled back, closed at 21,886. And I said, well, it's going to, make another move at that. And I didn't think it would be today, but it sure was today. And the market's just melting up. The high is 22,059. Closed at 22,043, so obviously an all-time closing high. I'd heard somebody had said somewhere, and I didn't verify it, so I'm just kind of parroting, probably some other misinformation, but somebody said that since 9/11, the Nasdaq has been up 24 years in a row, and I should check on that because it's probably not true. So take it with a grain of salt. It's up a lot. I know that during the session on 9/11, but I don't know if it's been every year since that day. Anyway, I move on. I have to get to some of the particulars here with some of the indexes because the Nasdaq is now 4% above the 50 and 2.1% above the 21. It was up 157 points today, or nearly 0.75%. Like I said, closed at 22,043, and you could see the volume 13% above the average volume. So after Labor Day now, the volume's starting to tick up a little bit. I just got to point out, I have to do it. Not an index I follow much, but yeah, the Dow closed about 46,000. So yippee-ki-yay, you can get your Dow 46,000 hats or whatever. It's kind of like cocktail information. And here's the IWM. This one's breaking out. This is telling me that we're going to get rate cuts and the market's pricing in rate cuts. I don't know if it's pricing in not so much a 1/4% or a 50 basis points next week, but just a series of rate cuts now at each consecutive meetings here. I think we're going to get a series of rate cuts and get the Fed funds rate down to, I don't know, maybe 3% or something. And I think that's what this is pricing in here with this small cap. Obviously, risk on, with the Nasdaq and the Russell 2000 doing well. So anyway, that's enough for the indexes, don't you think? When the indexes do well, you can guarantee that stuff like Tesla is doing well. Gosh, I put this one on the Reddit list last week. I took it off this week, but it certainly is, this is go time for Tesla right now. It had a nice day today, up 6%. And you can see it's right there at that standard buy point of 367. So little extended now as it's more than 4.5% above its five, but still Tesla looks fantastic to me. Another one is Google. They got the favorable decision from Judge Mehta, and it's just been ramping ever since. And I figured that as soon as they got that decision, there would be a relief rally either way, even if they had to sell off Google Chrome or whatever. But they didn't. So they got a favorable decision, and the stock is doing really, really well. I know some people saying, you got to short this big gap up because Google doesn't gap up like that. Well, it was 224 that day, and now it's 240. So the shorts, boo-hoo, crying in your beer. All right. And the last one, no, I have a couple more. Apple and Nvidia. Nvidia was upgraded today and just was flat on the day. And AMD was downgraded and went, I don't even want to show you AMD. That's not nice. Got rejected at the 50, even though Lisa Su was, trying to pump up her stock. But AMD still looks good to me. It just, needs some time and it's got to get back above the 50. The last one I wanted to point out was Apple. They had their big announcement on their phones. This company is just they said that they're going to charge more for their phones and you're going to have to get used to $2,000 phones in the future. I don't know what that's all about. it's kind of turning into a one device company, their iPhone and everything revolves around the iPhone with their services. Sure, they have wearables and they have computers, but the iPhone is the big thing that ties everybody into their ecosystem. I don't know. It's just sure it's a good stock to hold and own in your portfolio. It pays a little dividend. It's not going to hurt you. It's kind of uh, uh, well, that's what my parents always told me. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. So I miss Steve Jobs. How about that? And I can say that. All right, I got to move on with this theme, this theory of a rate cut and what stocks are moving. But first, I cannot ignore this Warner Brothers Discovery. Look at this move here for a stock like Warner Brothers to be up 29%. Merger with PSKY. Warner Brothers and Paramount, Skydance. So big moves. This one was up 15.5%. You could see it just trade sideways. Recently, it's been getting a little wonky because this has been anticipated. So big moves today. What was the loser from that deal was Netflix down. Man, I looked at it earlier. It was down more than that, but still not bad. Down $44, 3.5%. So where did it close? 19% of the daily range. Yeah, I was down to below 1200 here at 1192. So yeah, I don't think this really impacts Netflix. We'll see. This is what the market does. So it overreacts, and now it's below the 50, but you can see it's still consolidating within a base. Netflix looks fine to me. All right. I started with the rate cuts, and I told you I'm not doing any gold stocks today because they are rate sensitive, right? Rates go down, gold would do well. So I'm going to go to another area that I've been talking about for a long time as well. And this is the housing plays. Obviously, these are going to benefit from lower rates. I was listening to, gosh, I don't know, Bloomberg Radio, I think, and there was an analyst on there, home builder analyst, saying that 4 months in a row, prices have fallen for homes. And if you're looking to buy a home, you're going, that's great. They can fall, every month for the next 10 years. But but it's very rare, very uncommon for that index to fall 4 consecutive months in a row. So, rate cuts are needed. DR Horton looks very nice in a weekly chart and on the daily chart. You can just see both of these two. I like both of them. Take your pick, flip a coin, whatever. Um, it's down this week a little bit, just kind of forming a hand, a little what you call a little bit of a pause before the rate cuts next week. I don't know how they're going to react next week to a rate cut. Maybe they'll shake some fools out and then bounce higher, but I think eventually they will go higher. But there's a loan company, LDI, finance mortgage stock that's now it's really going berserk here. It's gone from $1.22 up to, it's been like I don't know, four bagger in a very short period of time. That's Loan Depot. And the other one I wanted to get to was Open Door. I've been talking about this one a lot because I like the pattern here. It's very consistent. How it comes back to, I've got to change here. If you'll bear with me for 1 minute, I've got to change this to the 8 EMA because it's just been coming down to the 8. And some guy pointed out to me today, and he's totally right. It made this high here. And then it pulled back, just pretend those lines aren't there. And then it ran up to a new high and then shook some fools out, just like a cup with handle pattern here. That's a total cup with handle. And now it's breaking out from the cup with handle pattern. You could also say, well, I don't want to get into patterns. Uh, yeah, I don't want to get into patterns. I'll just say that the new management team, um, the guy from Shopify, the chief operating officer, is fantastic. They brought back some of the board members. Yeah, I didn't expect an 80% move today, but I did expect it to move. And yeah, if I just go back, it is just, surfing the 8 here. So, as people are like, should I buy it today? Should I sell it today? Well, just watch the green line, right? It's going to come back to the green line. Or should I say that green line is going to catch up to the stock eventually, right? It's 56% above the 8, 536, 530% above the 200. I know a ton of technical people who just sell just because it's that far above the 200. But this has been down so long, and this is a turnaround story. And this new management team is a turning point for a turnaround story. So I think it's going much higher. I don't know how high, but they have to report solid earnings here, quarter after quarter for it to get, any appreciation. There's folks who say it's going to be like Carvana, and I showed you that comparison. I don't want to go through that, but it could be. And, this is the stuff, it's gone from 50 cents to $10, right? It's already been, a 20 bagger in a very short period of time. This is life-changing stuff. If you get into this thing, even below $10, if this thing goes to 100, that's a 10 bagger. And if you're heavily invested, that could really move your equity curve. And yeah, it can change your life. If you have enough calls and enough resources into something like that. It takes a lot of conviction though to put, all of your eggs in one basket or a lot of your eggs in one basket. So anyway, that's it for open. Clear pattern. I like it. I own it, and it's been helping my equity curve. But it's not for everybody. You sign up for something like that, and you're going to expect some heartache. These pullbacks are pretty sharp. All right. Another group is the medical group, the biotech, and the banks. These are all benefiting from rate cuts. This is Tempus AI. They got a FDA approval essentially for their cardiac imaging device, I guess. Yeah. And so it was up, yeah, 14% today. It really broke out after the approval and then pulled back a little bit. Let's take a look at this on the 5. That's the 10, you dummy. There you go. So you get approval and it's like whoop-de-doo. And then, it's sold off. Profit takers, there's always going to be profit taking along the way, when you have big moves like that, except for Open Door. I think Open Door closed at its high. I didn't check that, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to move on. PTCT, stock that I don't talk about a lot, but definitely breaking out of a base. And I'm not going to go through all of the biotech stocks because they're super strong. And I'm just pointing out some new ones that I normally don't talk about here. There's just a lot of them that are doing well. That's one, KALA. KLAC Bio, and I don't even know what this thing does. Treatment of eye diseases. Okay. And this is a very common pattern, folks. You got to recognize what type of market we're in now. The market is melting up, so you're not going to get these, setups except for like in DR Horton and Pulte. Those are beautiful charts. But what you're going to get are these, these flags, right? It runs up a lot. You get a three bagger here, and then it flags for a couple days, allows the 5 to catch up, and then boom, man, pops higher. This is 2 days in a row where this thing's really shooting higher. And I'm going to show you at the end of this video some stocks that I'm looking at that have this type of behavior. And I know some of them have already blasted off, like ALAB and Reddit, and they're gone. But there's some other ones that, you wait for the pullback. The stocks that have moved a lot, that's the ones you want to own. Those are the ones you want to swing trade. They move 10% in a day. We'll get them when they pull back to their moving average. And that's the way you can trade them. Anyway, I'm going to get to that at the end. I've got a couple more to get to. AbbVie, they settled a dispute. I forget the dispute. AbbVie is a big company, 390 billion market cap, breaking out of a cup with handle pattern there. That's a fantastic move for a company like that. Yeah, up 4% on the day and 3% for the week. Had a 3 weeks tight and blasted higher. And that's why we kind of pay attention to those. The chart was ahead of the news, I guess you could say, on that particular instance with AbbVie. RVMD, one that I never talk about. I don't know what they do. It was up on volume today. And by the way, I looked at the up on volume. Stocks have been like 180, 200, 220, and today there was like 600 stocks up on volume. So it was a very strong day overall, not just the Mag 7 driving everything higher. All right. And the last one, I'm going to include hims and hers. I haven't talked about this one in a while. It's been kind of lollygagging around. Got lawsuits pending and a lot of noise around this one. I think eventually they'll work their way out of it. It's one that I decided at the beginning of the year I was just going to own along with Dutch Bros and Robinhood and TGTX and DoorDash and Rubrik, which is burning my buns. But anyway, I'm still holding this one. It's kind of doing nothing, but I just wanted to point out it was up, had a nice day today. How about that? Up 8%. All right. I'm going to get out of the drugs and the medical area and go to the banks. I talked about rate cuts are going to be beneficial for a lot of different areas, and this is Probably one of them. They're acting very well. This is Goldman Sachs, one of the big players on Wall Street, 237 billion market cap, and just melting up, kind of like the market, just grinding higher, up another 15 bucks or 2% today. JP Morgan, another one of the big banks, yeah, just making new highs, just grinding higher. Even Wells Fargo, I think I showed this earlier yesterday. Nice cup with handle, looking pretty darn good. I mean, these are big banks, folks. I mean, they don't really move that fast. They pay big dividends. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Nice cup with handle there. I'm not going to put those on the list tomorrow, but maybe I'll put one on next week. I think you should have maybe one of these. Or slower movers. Citigroup, again, just grinding higher along with the moving average. Did I switch this back to the five? I'm losing my mind. No, I didn't. That's that's why I shouldn't do that till the end. All right. I want it on the five because strong stocks are going to bounce off their five. They're going to trade with their five. All right. And speaking of strong stocks, more of the smaller type of banks. This is not really small. It's Rocket, 42 billion, and it's trading like a rocket, just soaring. You can see that five right there, the green line. Yeah, very nice. And so they're acquiring COOP. This deal will close in the fourth quarter, and this is, same thing, just a rocket ship trading higher. Mr. Cooper, that I Lending Tree is one that I like. Yeah, doing well. SoFi is another one. Fantastic, very strong. And they reported strong quarters, that's kind of like yeah, kind of goes hand in hand. Robinhood, they had their little event the other night, and a lot of innovation from these guys. Pulled back to its 50 and now bounced nicely. They're getting included into the S&P. I still like them at 117.70. They're giving you a couple of fake outs the last couple days. If I go to like a 10-minute chart, you can see, it rallies up, then goes sideways, rallies up, then goes sideways, rallies up, goes sideways. So it's just really basically going sideways, maybe the last, what, 3 or 4 days here. Yeah, look at those closes. It's acting like it wants to move higher during this session, but it just won't. And it's allowing this five to play catch up, right? You can see the five undercut the 50, and now it's rallied back through the 21 and the 50. So the four closes this week, 117.28, 118.50, 117.46, and 117.75. So it's just basically gone nowhere what am I talking about this week? No, the last 3 days. It popped with the S&P inclusion along with AppLovin, but I don't want to talk about the software names, but I do like AppLovin, and since I mentioned it, this thing's just gone berserk too since being included into the S&P 500. Announced Friday, bounced Monday, and just this one's grinding higher while Robinhood's going sideways. This one's up 16.5% like Robinhood this week. So yeah, the inclusion in the S&P, long overdue for this one and finally got in. So it's being rewarded. I didn't intend to go through that one, but anyway, I wanted to get to some of the power names. I'm not so sure these are rate sensitive, but I just want to point out OKLO, these nuclear components are doing better than the other power plays. And there's a reason for that, but I'm not going to get into it. But Oklo broke above a downtrend line today. It was up 8.5%. It was above 80. It cracked 80 and then pulled back, but the high there is 85.35. I would put that on my radar list tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Maybe I'll wait for a pullback. It's 6.5% above the five, so let it pull back a little bit. SMR, another nuclear play. Yeah, still languishing below the 50. I don't like stocks lounging down there too long. And the other one was what else? LEU. Yeah, very strong move here for LEU. Talked about this. Looks like a double bottom base pattern to me. Just wants to made that low of 162 and now drives through the 50, had a little resistance there and now driving back through as it builds the right side of the base. That one looks fantastic to me. And oh, I had to point out, so these other ones, the windmills, they're killing the bird, right? These types of alternative energy aren't doing as well as the nuclear. This is GEV, which pulled back to the 50, tried to pop today, had some profit taking down 1.5%. What was the other one? CEG. Yeah, alternative energy, not as good as the nuclear. Broke above a downtrend line. Today just had an inside day. So we'll look for CEG to pop through that 50. Maybe not tomorrow, but how about next week? Keep watching. TLN has been a super strong and having a trouble at 400. It'll get through 400 eventually, but yeah, right there, just playing teeter-totter with 400, allowing that five to catch up, right? Just surfing the five. These bars come back to the five, then rise up. So that one looks really good. And then NVT, I put this one on my Reddit list this week. It's doing okay. Just had this little consolidation pattern now. Moving higher, it's up more than 3% this week. I think we'll all take 3% in a week. So that one looks good as well. Did I buy it? No, but I probably should. If you want to own an energy name, I guess Bloom Energy is the one to own. This thing has been a powerhouse since breaking out of this space here. And sometimes, you miss them, right? I had this, I was watching it, it's just like INSM, I had these and then you sell too early and they just run without you. And that's just part of trading, folks. Don't get too upset about it. It's just, catch the next one. It's okay. What I say is when I miss it, at least, you have the skills, the acumen to identify a winning stock, even if you didn't act on it. You could just, take notes down on what this looks like. This breakout. This breakout gap higher from an earnings call. Sorry for toggling back and forth. That bugs the eyes. July 24th, right? 23% move with 500% above average volume. And the end that day, the last trade was $33.06 on July 24th. That's why we pay attention to these earnings gaps higher. I don't know if that was an earnings gap or was it as a contract. It doesn't matter. This thing's been surfing the five ever since, and now it's been more than a two bagger for you in a very short period of time. Two baggers will help your portfolio. If you get one or two of those in a year, it'll offset a lot of 5% losses. So congrats to those who got BE. All right, I have to talk about the hardware names. A lot of them are doing well. I'm going to talk about some that I normally don't talk about. Rambus, this one blasted higher today, 15% move. This is in the semiconductor fabless space. The AMD, the ARM, the NVIDIA space. So Qualcomm, RAM is making a big move. KLAC, this is in the equipment space. With ASML and Applied Materials, another nice move here. Today, up 3%, LRCX. So when these semiconductors are doing well, that's a big move. That's just bullish for the index, especially the Nasdaq. Most of these trade on the Nasdaq. What else do we have? KLAC, we have Lam Research, we have the smaller one, another one that gapped up after earnings, pulled back, and then just really giddy up, huh? And looking strong, AEHR. This is like a diagnostic tester, yeah, test burn-in system. Just performing beautifully. What else we have? Oh, Micron. Everybody talks about Micron, the big computer data storage. You can see this cup with handle finally breaking out this week. Let's see what that looks like on the weekly. Yeah, that's a thing of beauty right there. Stage one base and ooh, man, off to the races, up 15% this week. Other hardware names, Pure Storage, a Charlie Giancarlo's company, had the gap higher, pulled back. And this is what I'm talking about. If you don't chase the gap, you wait, you're patient, you allow that five to catch up, this little wedge pattern. Now it's, riding higher. It's riding in the pipeline like Kelly Slater. Beautiful. Who else we have? Oh, ALAB. I did have this one on the ready list this week. This one's just going berserk. Um, I've showed you this like every day. The flag patterns, especially on the weeklies, right? This is very common. This is very, indicative of the type of market we're in. Ran up from what 48 to 100. It was a two bagger and it stalled out there for a few weeks. And then what did it do? Went up to 200 and now it's at 232. So some 46 to 232. Like I say, this is life-changing stuff. If you put enough eggs in the basket, they can really grow very quickly in these growth stocks, but we all know what happens to growth stocks when they stop growing. Seagate has just been on a heater. Another one, hardware name, just surfing the five. That's a thing of beauty right there. Put that up on my wall. Jeez. Yeah, just straight up from Liberation Day. What was the price on Liberation Day, Marty? Well, it was, let's say about what, 64? 64 to 196. Yeah, I mean, yeah, those will help the old portfolio. WDC, another hardware name, just doing the same thing, surfing the five. And the other one is SanDisk. Have some friends who work at SanDisk. It's a spinoff from WDC. Western Digital up 14% today. It's like, hello, where are you going? I mean, the five will catch up to it. So like I said, don't chase it, let it come back. And it'll probably do something like, the old wedge pattern, which I've been showing you, right? Where it just kind of stalls out for a couple days, allows this five to catch up, and then boom, makes another move higher. We're seeing a lot of that. Okay, so that's it for the hardware names. Oh, I've got to, these construction names, I got to point this out too. Big move higher. What does it do? It moves higher, goes sideways, moves higher, pulls back to the MA, moves higher, and this is just a consistent pattern. Sterling, another one in this group, the building heavy construction group, pull back to its 21 now. It's moving higher. Quanta Services, yeah, same thing. Those look good to me. Then nobody's talking about them now. It's all quiet, so keep the goodies to yourself. That's a nice base for Quanta. And same with Road Construction Partners. Every time it pulls back, talk about buying the dip, right? It pulls back, you buy the dip, it pulls back, you buy the dip, pulls back, you buy the dip. So if you, I don't own any of those names, but they've been doing well. So, and they're not gold stocks or oil stocks. So, all right, I did say no gold today, right? A little retail, the Canada Goose. I'm just pointing this out. Nice cup with handle pattern, pulling back. This is the pattern that's been working here, this little flag pattern. So I'm watching that one. SE, another retail name. That would be SE. Having, right up against 200 today. So I'm going to see how this one handles 200. Broke out right here, this gap higher on earnings, and just been surfing the five ever since. Pull back to the 21 one day, and then found support and bounce. The other one was what else? Oh, Tommy Bahama. They reported a good quarter, is up 28%. Nice. So rallying back through the moving averages here. It's got to get above the 200, but just wanted to shout out Tommy Bahama and Johnny Was. All right. I did say no gold, right? I did. But I didn't say no silver. And silver at $42. These stocks are I think you should own one of the gold or silver stocks because they're just melting up. If you just look at this, this is as a swing trader or even a position trader, this is what you want, lower left to upper right. Now, I don't know how much this is up in a year. Yeah, 90%. That's a good year, right? That's definitely outperforming the indexes. AG is another one. Silver play. So not a gold, but a silver. And this is a breakout from a cup with handle pattern up 10% today. Just saying. I'm just saying. And then HL. HL, Hecla Mining. That's a heck of a move for Hecla from 5 up to 11. So it's been a two bagger or more in a very short period of time. So I didn't go over any gold stocks today, but I got to point out these silver names because they're on a heater. So, all right. I did mention this pattern that I like, and we're seeing this in a lot of the leading stocks. If you look at the relative strength stocks at the top of the page at mcstockcharts.com. We have about 22 to 26 stocks every day. And they make big moves and they pull back, but they stay on my relative strength. The market surge allows me to go to the 10 EMA. I would like to go to the 5, but it only goes to the 10. So if they're above the 10 EMA, showing relative strength here, a rating of 98. So they make a big move, pull back in the moving average, make a big move, pull back, and they're consistently doing this, finding support at the 21 and now popping. what, 9.5% today. And there's just a lot of them doing this. Wolf was another one. It ran up on that Google news, pulled back to its five, made this little pennant, and now it's popping this week, having a very nice week, up 16.5%. IREN, I think we're going to get another pullback here from this one. You can see it ran up and then pulled back, ran up and pulled back, ran up and pulled back, and now it ran up again, right? So maybe it'll make another little flag here. I think it was about 34 was the high. Did it get up to 34 yesterday or today? 33.76. So pulled back just slightly. And it'd probably only be a couple days. It's a super strong stock, super cheap stock. I shouldn't say cheap, relative speaking, to its peers. Um, and then another one is CLS, another one that I like that I want to buy. And this is doing the same thing. It's forming this little flag pattern. I don't know how long it's going to be until this one pops, but it's allowing the five to catch up. You can see that as it forms this little flag after, a nice little pop. So yeah, those are some of the ones that I'm watching. There's more of them, but I just wanted to point that pattern out. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except in honor of the great Steve Jobs, who at Apple created products that consumers didn't even know they need. Boy, I wish they could do that again. Um, but they don't. So dreams are free, right? Adobe reported tonight. It's only up 3%. Yeah, beat and raised quarter, which is kind of rare for them. Software has been beaten down, and so this one's down so long that, it's got to go up, right? Which is not true. They can all go to zero. But yeah, it was a beat and raise quarter for Adobe. So I'll have to watch that one tomorrow. RH, not so fortunate. This one's down, only 4% now, not bad. So the CEO must have said something at the conference call because this was down a lot. It was down like 16% last time I looked. So he's talking his way. He must have said something about AI in the conference call. That always gets him. And then SMCI reported that tonight they're unleashing. No, they're making available the Blackwell hardware for them. And then, IBEX is another one that reported tonight up 22% after hours. This is just a small 400 million market cap stock, but yeah, strong report and strong move. So just had to point that out. I also wanted to point out that, you know, the trading is challenging. Oftentimes it is, and we're in a nice market now where want to talk about your equity curve, right? So you can go for a long time just flat and being very frustrated, or even, it goes down, we're going sideways and you have losing trades, but you can never give up. You always just keep plugging away. When the it's just like sports, when you get hot, you want to press on the gas and your equity curve goes like this, right? And that's when you that's when you press your trade, you go big. But when you're cold and you strike out 12 times in a row, that's when you trade smaller and you trade quicker and you get in and out and you take your small losses, you take your lumps. But then, you step on the gas and your equity curve goes straight up, right? You get in that zone, but you might, lose some. You can have some losing trades and give some back and go sideways for a while or just wiggle around. If the market's choppy, it's going to be hard to trade. And then you hook on to one, two bagger, and then, your equity curve goes up. So eventually your equity curve looks like this, but it never looks straight up. It's not linear is what I'm trying to say. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to go sideways, it's going to go down, it's going to go up. Eventually you want it to go up if you have enough winning trades. And my point is all you need is a couple of trades a year like an open door. I mean, if you're up 80% a day, you're doing pretty well. Yeah, I expected it to give some back after hours, probably a secondary offering or something, but um, that type of action will definitely help your equity curve. Obviously, stock like, ALAB, if you've got, big eggs in that basket, that's going to help your equity curve, but it's not all at once. These things struggled for a long time too. You can see, Reddit, was at 230, came down to what, 94, and then, that's kind of the way this one's moving, right? It's lower left to upper right, but it's not straight up. So my point is, if you're struggling, hang in there. Don't give up. Don't get discouraged. Your next big trade's right around the corner. And if you have a big winner, don't get too cocky. Stay humble and never give up. Thank you for watching.